A very good day to all of you out there. This is Admav here with another episode of Admav's Corner. Hey, how are you all doing? It has certainly been a while. Not really a while, but I completely missed uploading an episode last week, and that was due to me being busy and just I felt kind of off, I felt kind of down, but mostly because I had a function to attend, and I'll be talking about that in the next episode. And this weekend will be a double header episode, as I missed last weekend. So there's going to be 2 episodes uploaded today. This will be the first one. Today is December 9th, 2022. It is a Friday. I mean, it's a good Friday overall, I guess you could say. It's overcast outside. It's a little gloomy, but that's never stopped me from recording a podcast. Now, I'll be honest. I've been doing fairly well today in the last hour. Just really bruised or jammed my finger bad, but it's both of those things are well on the way to recovery. I'm on the mend, but it's still not fully healed. Hopefully it heals completely, and the sooner the better, because I want to go back to playing basketball, but I need to be patient, and I don't want to risk re-aggravating the injury and possibly making it worse. So I sat out this week again, so this is the second time in a row I've had to sit out from basketball with my peers from my job. And I do miss it, but like I said, I have to be careful. But another part of me skipping again, it's a fairly harmless experience. But this time around, the earwax was so large and had encrusted and hardened over the last several years, that when I went in for my first appointment a couple of days ago, the specialist that took care of me couldn't get it out the first time. And she tried, and it was painful. It was like someone sticking a needle in there. But it's a very sensitive part of your body, the inner ear canal and all the parts of the ear within that, and that's why you need a specialist to do. You can't just really do it on your own, especially with a earwax buildup of that magnitude. So I went in canal, and it took a while even then. I mean, the whole process ended up being like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And yeah, it was painful at times, but I didn't care about the pain really as much. I just needed my right ear unclogged. I deal with hypochondria, and I have this fear of losing my senses, specifically, actually all of them, but losing hearing would be particularly devastating, just because I love listening to music. And yeah, no, today it was a long, arduous process, but the person that took care of me at the clinic that I went to was a consummate pro, and she was awesome and was very patient with it all. And thankfully I could endure some of the more painful parts of it. But like I said, I didn't care. I wanted my hearing to come back. And eventually, after working through so many layers, you couldn't imagine how much earwax was jam-packed in there. It was crazy. But eventually it all broke, and the one final chunk came out, and my ear cleared up, and holy smokes, my right ear had all of a sudden become so sensitive to sound that it felt like my left ear was now a little bit plugged. But it's because it's been so long since my right ear could hear properly. The eardrums had just been, and the canal had just been so blocked by this chunk of earwax. So I'm thankful for that. And I'm sorry if that's a kind of a gross story. I know some people are weak to those sort of things, like the things that our body produces. So, but it was an important thing, because it really brought down my overall mood and my overall attitude, and I just powered through it. I just trusted the process that eventually the wax will be softened up and that it will eventually come out, which Thankfully it did. Trust me. Oh man, I'm so relieved that it came out. You have no idea. Which just brings me to, I guess, what I've been talking about with some friends at work, even with my friends outside of work, is that it feels like everyone's sort of hobbling to the finish line to get to 2023. We are, a quarter way through December. No, not even a quarter way, a third way through December. And we're just chugging, trying to make it to the finish line to get to the next year. Before my injuries, before the earwax issue took hold, I was also sick from the bug that was going around. It was a non-COVID illness, some kind of, probably just the season's flu, and it was just a particularly infectious and nasty strain of the flu. And I know a bunch of people that got sick from it, my friends at work, other colleagues. And I got it too, and thankfully I got a fairly mild version of the flu, but it was still not a great experience, obviously, as you might imagine. But, I recovered, thank goodness for that. So, yeah, it's just all piling up at once, it feels like. And a quote that I've heard the last few days, when it rains, it pours, and it certainly feels that way. And out, besides all these physical ailments that I've had to endure recently, I've also, the depression and anxiety have been fairly high. There have been things going on in my personal life. I'm sure you guys would understand without me having to go into detail about them, but it's been the toughest stretch this whole year. This whole year has been great, honestly. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm going to keep it a buck with you guys. I've been mostly good throughout this whole year. This whole year has been the most positive year for me in a long, long time. And I can't remember the last time a year felt so good for me. And that's what made this last, month stretch so challenging and so exhausting. And it sometimes brought me to the point of tearing up, just trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And I'm just doing my best, and things aren't turning out the way, not that I would expect, but just that I didn't think it would be so rough. But life has its ebbs and flows, like we've talked about previously in other episodes, and that's just what I've had to deal with. And it's been hard. All the things that I've talked about, all the lessons that I've learned, and all that I've mentioned in so many previous episodes of this podcast, I've had to put into practice. I've had to put into perspective. I've actually revisited some of these podcasts and listened to them sort of like a journal, and what I kind of use this podcast for anyways, partly. And I was like, I don't know if I can make it. I'm having a hard time. It's difficult for me to take any sort of encouragement or positive reinforcement from people who just want the best for me. It was just difficult. But I knew at some level I just had to hang on to these 3 words, hang in there, which I've been saying all year. And I've been hearing more of my friends and family saying it now, probably because I've been using it so much, but it's such a great saying. Hang in there. I don't know where things are headed. I don't know if things are going to get better anytime soon, but things have gotten better, and I've no doubt that I'd run into other challenges along the way, but I just have to find a way to hang in there, whether if it's just, through sheer guts and tenacity, just hang on to whatever I can, and letting go of the things I need to let go of. But it's been tough, and I want you guys to see that these struggles are real, even when you feel like you made progress, even when you feel like this year has been so good for you and it's the most positive year, because it has certainly been for me. I still ran into these issues that almost made me want to just revert back to my old self or give it all up. But I knew that wasn't the right thing to do, and I knew that would be betraying myself. I wouldn't show myself the care and love that I've been giving myself for so long, for so consistently this year. And I didn't want to do that. I'm not the same. I know I'm not the same person. And so I knew that even though it got bad, that I wouldn't allow it to go that far. And so I'm still hanging in there, and I'm still doing okay. And I'm just here to tell you guys to hang in there too. And trust me, I understand. It's sometimes it's difficult to receive positive reinforcement or receive any kind of encouragement, because I was rejecting it as well. I didn't want any of that stuff. Like, my friends and family were telling me that it's going to be okay, that you've gone through worse, and that you're strong. And I really appreciate those words. I appreciate the care and concern. But during the worst of it, I just couldn't take those things. But in my heart, I knew that they meant the best, and they just wanted me to get better. And I knew that I just had to hang on somehow. And so I'm here to relay the message again, and I want you guys to know that I'm still around and that I'm battling it out too. And if you're battling it out, you're not alone in this fight. So hang in there. We will make it through. 2023 is just around the corner, and it's another year to discover more about ourselves and try to do good and try to put out good in this world. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I'll catch you on the next podcast, right after this one, in fact. So, I love you guys. It's been tough, but I'm still here, and I'm hanging in there. And I know you guys can too. Take care.